Okay, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to just start, if that's okay with you.
Yes, sooner the better.
Okay. What was your previous life like prior to incarceration?
In terms of as a child or as an adult, like like more like a teenage, like grown up and stuff.
Whatever you feel comfortable with talking.
Oh, cause my life before going to prison, I had negative attitude. I grew up idolizing people from the streets, in which I got involved. And my mentality, I had a street mentality. So I reacted, and I had an excuse for everything. Like I was an irresponsible child.
Okay. If you had prior work experience, can you explain what that was?
No, I had no prior work experience at all.
So you came right from school?
From school, no, I dropped out of school
Oh, okay.
and just went to the streets. I went hustling mentality. I was conditioned hanging out with certain individuals with this older crowd. I wanted to fit in, and I did anything to validate my value to them. They gave me love and attention, and at the time, that felt like the world to me.
If you don't mind, can you state what was your last grade that you finished or when you dropped out?
I finished ninth grade. My last grade was ninth grade, and when I went to 10th grade, I never passed 10th grade. I dropped out in the 10th grade.
Okay.
As soon as I got into high school, I learned how to cut class. Like I said, learning how I started associating myself with guys that didn't think learning was cool.
And those guys that you used to hang out with, like the older crowd, were they from your school or just like from the streets?
They were from the school, but they dropped out of school.
Oh,
So
okay.
like being irresponsible, going to school was I had to challenge myself, and I didn't like challenging myself. At, that way they had in school. And in addition, when it was the teacher was giving the lessons, I was a slow learner and I couldn't follow, and I didn't have. I wasn't brave enough to ask the teacher, "I'm not following you. I need help." Because at that time, asking for help, I saw as a weakness.
Okay. So what was your educational experience like? Like how were you in school? Like did you have uh great grades or were they more on the bad side? Because I know you already explained to me some of your educational experiences.
I was like on the borderline passive. I got a 65. I was good money. I was happy with that.
Okay. What were your goals and ambitions while growing up?
My goals was to be a baseball player. That was my goals and ambitions. After that, it was nothing. It was all or nothing.
Did you join any like baseball leagues as a child?
Yes, at the time, no, I didn't have the resources.
Oh.
So I basically watched kids play. In addition to that, it's not like today where you have free baseball for all the kids and everything.
Yeah.
You had to
Well,
pay back then.
I'm sorry, you can continue talking.
I said back then that cost money, and my family didn't have the resources. So my mother, I was with a single parent. Only my mother raised us.
How many siblings did you have?
It was two brothers and me to me three. But then in the longer run, when I was in my teenage years, I got another brother. They added to the family another brother and a sister.
Oh, that's so nice. Do you still keep in touch with your siblings or no?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Well, yeah, they got their own issues,
Hmm.
but You know, like everybody else, some people can cover it up better than others.
Yeah. Okay. So this part is mostly about your time being in prison. So what skills did you gain while incarcerated that you are most proud of?
You know what skill I got in prison? It was towards the end. I learned that you not everything because everything to me, if I felt challenged or disrespected, I responded violently. As opposed to today, I see the world different. I know that everything's not a challenge or that needs a response of violence. I can walk away. I learned how to walk away, and I was going through therapy, going to class every day. That was my most proud of, and also I learned how to speak up, like in front of larger crowds. Before I was nervous. I don't know why I was nervous, but I was. It was something I was not used to.
Mm-hmm. So these classes that you took in therapy, they helped you get to this point in life?
Absolutely, absolutely. It was for people you had to be brave to go to these classes because you felt like an outcast.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at nighttime where everybody wanted to be outside in the yard or socializing. You had to take your time and you had to take that initiative.
So these classes weren't normally packed?
They had few participants. They wasn't packed. The recreation yard was more packed than these classes. I
That's
had my vision. I had a vision of freedom.
mm,
That was my motivator.
interesting. Okay. How did your mindset change as a result of your mindfulness meditation practice and learning experience?
I learned what was important. You know, when things I took for granted. Growing up in this, I say this. Growing up in this country, there's a lot of freedom, and this country is a good country to supply you with a lot of stuff that you don't realize as you're growing up. That you get a sense of entitlement. But once I was there and I was gone, I was able to realize how important the freedom was. That I know not to confuse my wants and my needs.
Mm-hmm. I think that's very important that a lot of people don't understand.
Oh yeah, you gotta have good. You develop a good sense of self, good self-esteem. You know your weakness and your strength. You know you get tired or you learn not to live off how people want you to live their life, your life. You gotta. I don't value people's opinion no more like I used to.
So you start to observe like your surroundings and the people more.
Yes, I started associating myself more with guys like towards the education field of prison.
Could you describe the service programs that you were involved in while being in prison?
I took uh, there was a program called Rising Hope Incorporated. It helped me tremendously. It was a theological class, post-secondary education,
Mm-hmm.
and I also was a network that after a while, when I started seeing guys uh, um, get their freedom, I started stepping up and started speaking up more in the classroom, in the therapy sessions.
Mm-hmm.
I took Osborne, Exodus. I was running the eight what was that the alcohol ASAC class, like what was it, no, the Narcotics Anonymous class. I was running that class, so I held myself responsible being there every week for other individuals and setting a good example for them, like setting the roadmap. If you want freedom, you want to obtain your freedom, This is what you got to do.
Wow, that's actually really great that like you saw people do these things and you liked the way that they like after they were set that they had this whole other life after prison, and I liked how you want to encourage those who are at a low point right now.
Absolutely. That's 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 how they showed me, and the only way you can keep it is by giving it away.
Mhm. Uh Describe your experiences with fellow incarcerated individuals in terms of challenges and meaningfulness.
Um, there was you meet some good guys along the way, and you meet some other envious guys that they just don't like you. They have character defects, character problems, or whatever. But I know how to navigate myself through that environment where I know to give those guys their space, and I gravitate more towards the guys that I can learn something from. I can learn something from everybody, but more the guys that are very knowledgeable. Case in point, I was taking air conditioning. I took an air conditioning refrigeration class, and I will always hammer the guy about learning about that trade in case it came in hand in the future.
That's really interesting. How did your incarceration experience include educational opportunities? And if not, would you have wanted this?
Absolutely. My education came towards the end, so I had to work hard. I had to um, balance my life. Like I said, it was either outside or learning. So I stood inside in the classroom basically all day and all night studying because I dropped out of school and I became dumb and dumber. So
Mhm.
now going back to school at a later stage of my life, it was a tough challenge, but I had that discipline that no matter what, I continue no matter how hard the challenge was. And this time I learned that it's all right to ask for help. And the other inmates, like more to the educational section of the prison, I would ask them, and they would help each everybody. That was the thing about the educational section. Everybody helped each other out. So that was more. My education came like at the former 216 because at the beginning I was in a max. There they didn't have had nothing there. There was nothing there to learn. I worked in a law library, but I didn't like the law. I didn't like that. I didn't. My reading comprehension wasn't at that level, so I didn't know how to form an argument at that early stage of my life while incarcerated. I didn't understand that much. So that's how the education stage part of my life came in prison. I started at the 2016, so I had to work hard day and night.
So you
Continue.
were transferred into a different prison?
Yes, I
Okay.
started. I started off in Clinton. That
Mhm.
was like near Clinton down near the border. It was only towards I got to Woodburn Correctional Facility where I started actually seeing there was like a glimmer of hope. I was seeing people going home, but up in Clinton down there was like no hope. You don't see nobody going home. And that glimmer hope in Woodburn, that was all motivating. That was my drive because I wasn't smart, I wasn't strongest or the most talented. I was just driven.
So did you ask to get transferred or were you just transferred?
I asked, yes, to somewhere where I can get an education
Oh,
and
okay.
be closer to the family.
Mhm. So we're entering part 3 of the interview. So this is in terms of after you were incarcerated. What do you value in your work experience in terms of future career or jobs?
You're talking about after prison, right?
Yeah.
Um, I value honest hard work. Legit more delayed gratification to work and earn. Before it was more instant gratification. Right now, what I was basically doing is cleaning. I took whatever, just so I won't have no idle time. Cleaning buildings, that's what I do now. Cleaning buildings, and and it's a paycheck. It's to have money in my pocket, and I connect people. I'm more pro-social. That job has to be more pro-social with the tenants of the building. But that's basically it. It took me. I came home in November 6th, and it was just like last week where I got a full-time job.
Wow. Was it like hard for you to get a job?
Yes, I went to numerous interviews, and it was only to now that I got, maybe because of the COVID
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the case was. But I was patient. I never gave up, lost hope or whatever. I just stuck to the process.
I think that's
It'll
really
come,
important.
it'll come. I would say to myself, it'll come. There was at times when I felt a little anxious because I wanted to be working already, and I have it set to start getting my life in motion.
Mm-hmm. So is this like what you like? Are you happy that you're doing this, or is this something that you want to further in your career life?
I'm happy I got my foot in the door because now when I go to interviews, I show them this is what I've been doing, this is what I could do. I can function in a work environment, but it's not what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to move up. Basically, what I was like all those time, it was a little scary, but I was actually adjusting to this new world. I've
Yeah.
done 25 years in prison, so this is a new world for me. I have to adjust. I got to see how things run. It's not the same world. The same people that I left, family, it's different people. That it's not the same person. They got to see me. I'm not the same person as they saw me.
Okay. Yeah, I think like that's like really important. And I feel like that's something that people do miss, that when you think of someone who was incarcerated, they think, oh, it's going to be the same person that comes out of prison. When in reality, I feel like people change in prison just like you did.
Yeah, you either grow up or you stay a kid. You stay with that street mentality, the influence. Like I said, you're gonna live off your life how they tell you, like with that influence, that street influence.
Hmm.
You're not knowingly but inadvertently. That's how you live. You stay with that prison mentality. But at the same time, like a lot of people that I knew back in the days, they're no longer around. They either been removed from this country. They
Wow.
either in they either in prison for the rest of their life, or they're dead. Nobody's around. Only I see a couple individuals, and most of the guys I associated with back in the days, they moved from the area and they moved out of other states. They left the city.
Wow. Have you ever like while you were in prison, have you ever like accidentally seen them or were
Yes,
doing time at the same time?
yeah, I seen some guys. Yes, yes, and it's exciting. It was exciting to see them, but in prison is a different life. It's
Hmm.
eventually you get separated. You see the lines and the communication. It distances itself.
Hmm. What skills did you develop like after being incarcerated?
skills. Like I said, I know how to. I learning how to communicate professionally, and that's the more important. I was back in the days. I was antisocial. I just had this attitude. I had this mentality that that it was all about me. That you had to come talk to me. You had to say what's up to me. If not, I will see who the hell is this guy. What's wrong with this person? When it was actually me not communicating, I'm giving off this bad vibe. So I like the most important thing is able to communicate and carry a nice, decent, positive conversation.
When you left prison, did you have like someone who guided you through this process, like helped you get a job, helped you create a resume for your interviews or anything, or did you like do this by yourself, or were there any programs in the prison that did this for you?
The resume started in prison where the helmet, well, like I said, so with the educational part, it may help each other. But when I got out here, my parole officer, she directed me to this program called Center Employment for Opportunities, and there they will give me like part-time work, and they will send me in interviews where I went and they got me this job. Basically, they helped me get this job. Center Employment Opportunities. They they get ex-inmates, people coming home from prison, and they take them, they recruit them, they tell them what the program's about, and I was fortunate enough to stick with the program. A lot of people get anxious; they want everything right away, and that's another thing I learned to be patient. Be patient. President all that time taught me to exercise patience. So I was patient until my day came, and I finally got employment. Steady employment.
Like you said that they give a part-times. Did you have any part-times prior to the job that you have now?
Yes, since the deployment we had a part time. I worked for nature. I assisted people that work in nature, cleaning the projects, helping them out, clean the projects.
That's very interesting.
Learning how to work with people in a professional level, because these people, like I said, coming out from prison, I'm meeting new people now. In a different environment, not street people. I'm meeting legitimate people, people that are working hard, doing hard work for honest living.
Mm-hmm.
I was accustomed to that fast money and everything, but now it's different.
Yeah, totally. Do your skills match your current position in a way that satisfies you?
Absolutely, because I can I can adapt. I learned how to adapt throughout the years. If I see you show me something, I can learn it. I can learn it. It's not hard. I used to be back in prison. I used to sweep, mob just for a shower, just to get out that cage. Like you see the dogs and the SPCA, to get out that cage. I did that, sweep, mop, and clean. Just today, I could do that at my own will. I get paid for that today. Beautiful, with freedom.
So you didn't get paid for doing that in prison at all, or did you receive like a low pay for that?
Uh, um, at times, you get that low pay, but most of the time you do that because you want a shower. And the max, they don't give you showers, and most of the cleaning positions in prison are taken. So you have
So
to
you,
volunteer. You have to volunteer to get these jobs now.
so you weren't allowed to shower until you did some kind of cleaning job?
3 times a week. Showers are 3 times a week.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was a value. I like to shower. I like to be clean.
Is that like the rule of the prison, or is just that how the prison community kind of like did
That's the
that to
rule of.
people?
It depends what type of employment you have in a prison where you can, like if you work in the kitchen, you can shower every day. But if you like going to school, you shower every other day.
Oh, wow, that's actually very interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah, people forget these. People forget this part of prison, but I very well remember. I don't forget that.
Hmm. Okay. Would you have been exposed to mindfulness had it not been for your time of incarceration? And how did you learn about network support services?
Um, I learned about it through when I came to the prison. Um, there's other members that they give orientation and they tell you the programs that the prison has to offer, and it's up to you. It's you have to take initiative. It's all of your responsibility alone.
Oh,
So what that got offered, I liked what I was hearing. I liked that he talked about being a positive environment and preparing yourself not for prison but for freedom when you get back out there. You know how to act in a civilized society. They're not teaching you how to act in a prison environment.
so did this program like teach you guys how to use mindfulness, or was that something different?
They had we had civilians, we had civilians that came out that came to the prison and they helped, and I made it my business and I showed my respect that every time they came I would always be present.
Mm. Did you, when you like learned from them, did you like put it into your everyday lives? Like,
I tried to apply it, but it was challenging because they thought different, they spoke different,
mm,
and doing something and my personal belief for so long, it takes some time to adjust.
mm-hmm.
You know, it takes some time. The way they had this guy named Zebby. He had transformative thinking, mindfulness, transformative thinking, where it was challenged that we thought differently than what he was showing us, and it took time to learn and get them what he was teaching to get it across.
What did you find difficult, or were there any challenges in your mindfulness path?
To think different. It's
So
not
more an observing point of view?
be responsible, be more responsible.
Mm.
That's the main thing, being responsible, and and he showed a lot. It come across like don't make excuses.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing. Don't make excuses for anything. Like the world is not out to get you. The world is not attacking you. The world is not holding you down. That's all excuses. Get that out your mind.
Mm-hmm.
It's all on you. It's your life, your heart, your happiness, your responsibility, your responsibility alone.
I feel like a person's biggest challenge can be themselves at times because, just like you said, people make excuses for things and how people shouldn't make them because nothing's going to happen. Like these excuses are just things that you think of, you know?
Yes. We 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 use that. We learn that at an early age. You don't know what I've been through to make these excuses, so you become accustomed to it,
Hmm.
and you realize that it was all about that. It was you. You're your own worst enemy. You become your own worst enemy.
Yeah,
Just making excuses, cause being I had like for example when I was young, I thought college was only for white people.
really.
There was nobody in my circle or in my community that I saw going to college.
Hmm.
Like you see your own people taking advantage of their own people. That's what I saw. So I said, man, that's not gonna happen to me. But that's the way I envision it. I grew up like watching TV, watching TV was like my reality. I saw the Brady Bunch, man. Every time they opened that refrigerator, I saw they could go get any food they wanted. I
Mm.
said, oh man, that's what I want. I see different strokes where like the minorities are living with the rich white man. I said, oh man, that's the subliminally, that's the image I projected in my mind. College was like only for white people, and I had no role models. The role models I saw growing up was in the streets.
What could have prevented you from being incarcerated?
You know, that there was something better than that. Somebody I needed like more people, because I did see a small percentage of people go to school. I see go to school, go to night school, go to summer school, and believe it or not, when I was incarcerated, I saw those guys, correction officers, police department. I saw those guys there. I said, oh, I had, like I said, become my worst enemy. I had the mentality, man, oh, those people are crazy going to school for the summer or going to night school. But then I realized right there, oh man, I see they could go as they please, not me. I gotta stay here incarcerated. And that's not a good feeling with this harsh treatment. But I don't make that an excuse because whatever treatment I got in prison, I very much deserve. But I saw that, and that started like thinking right there. I said, oh man, look at these guys, and that's another adjustment I seen coming to the streets now. I see more of my people working in places that I never saw before. They work in on pharmacies, they work in hospitals, they're all over now working.
So you wish that you would have stick to more of the educational side of the groups instead of the streets? You think that would
You
have
know,
helped you?
that could have helped me, but there was nobody. I didn't believe in myself.
Mm.
If somebody would have believed in me
Mm.
and would have took me under the wing, that could have been different. Or he could have told me, somebody encouraged me to tell me, yo, you can do that. Don't worry about it. You can do it. I could have brought their belief until I started building my own belief.
Mm.
And my belief would have grown, and I would have had the confidence to accomplish whatever I wanted to.
Well, you can look at yourself now and say, like, I've accomplished a lot, and I think that's really good for you.
And you know something? A lot of people are not ready to accept that because being, I think, different, people are still stuck to their old ways.
Yeah.
And it becomes a little challenging to deal with these people because my brother told me that. And I learned that people out here do not grow up.
Mm.
You
Okay.
know, people do not grow up. Me, for me, the pants hanging down my butt, so my other words, I feel that's for a younger crowd. I'm not against it, but I feel that's for younger people. If I see my son dressed like that, I don't want nobody to confuse me as being his brother or something. I want to be like more of authority towards, like, he has to respect me like more to authority.
Hmm. So I really hope that this interview, because I do have one more question to ask you, but Zoom has this 40 minutes Zoom meetings, and then afterwards, I don't know what happens. So it might cut us off. Hopefully it doesn't. If anything, I will contact you through email. So I won't waste time right now, and I'm going to ask you the last question, which are, what are your goals for the future in terms of housing?
The house, man, I'm trying to see right now I got steady employment. Now I have time. I can go out there and pay rent.
Mhm.
I wanna get me a significant other now because before um I was stuck with my high school sweetheart, and now come that I'm free, I have the right to choose. I have freedom, and I have the discipline to choose, like, and look for somebody that's well suited for me.
So right now you live alone, or do you rent out a
I
room?
I live with my cousin, my aunt.
Mm-hmm.
They allow me to stay until I'm getting back on my feet,
That's great
which
to hear.
I appreciate it. And
Well,
I'm very, very grateful to these people for allowing me to stay with them, you know, being a burden, taking up space in their place.
mm-hmm.
And that's what I want to do. I want to search for housing, something affordable where I can live and have my own privacy. I have the job to pay the rent, and when it comes to employment, I always want to move up. I'm adjusted to this world, and I'm going to use my drive, my dedication, and my responsibility to just keep on going up, keep going up, keep on going up the ladder.
Well, I'm very glad to see that you have like that being in prison has been such a wonderful and a positive aspect to you, because for a lot of people it's such a negative thing. So
Yes,
I'm
because
very
yeah,
glad that it's positive for you.
a lot of people they take it as like they entitled to something. Oh, I did this time, you got to give me this. I deserve this is mine, or whatever. Not me. It was I got myself, I jammed myself up. It was my responsibility and nobody's responsibility. So if you didn't call me or you didn't write to me, don't even worry about that because I jam myself up. I jam myself up. And it's a tough way to communicate with somebody up in prison. But I always say, like, it's not what I lost while I was incarcerated, it's what did I gain. It's
Yes.
what I gained. I educated myself, which I needed to so I could function out here.
hmm Well, I just want to say a big thank you for letting me interview you. And I will be in contact with you for any follow-up questions that I do have, and with a final bio for you to approve. So that will probably be within the week, and I
Okay?
will keep in touch with you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.